Agile principles. So, if you want to understand Agile Manifesto, go to agilemanifesto.org website. Here you see agilemanifesto.org website. Here you can see, we are uncovering better ways of developing software by doing it and helping others to do it. Okay, so we are uncovering better ways of developing the software. So Agile Manifesto helps us uncovering better ways of delivering the software by doing it and helping others to do it. They have given 4 points mainly. One is individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Working software over comprehensive documentation. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Responding to change over following a plan. Okay, so these are the 4 main points you need to understand in Agile. So Agile encourages more individuals and interactions. Agile encourages working software over comprehensive documentation. So Agile gives in the value of the items left side, individuals interactions over processes and tools, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, responding to change over following a plan. Responding to change over following a plan. So these are the 4 points. So these 4 Agile pillars are explained clearly with 12 principles of Agile software. Explained clearly with 12 principles of Agile software. So these 12 principles of Agile software we will discuss in next 1 hour. So I try to give my examples what I have seen in real-time projects for these 12 principles. So explain about Agile. If anyone asks you a question, if you attend interview, if anyone asks you a question, explain Agile principles or explain about Agile, then you have to explain all these 12 principles. 1. So first principle, in Agile, our highest priority is to satisfy the customer. So our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. Our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of the software. What do you mean by this point? Agile highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of the valuable software. See, generally, whenever Scrum Masters or Agile coaches teaches you Agile Manifesto, they speak more philosophy kind of thing. But I wanted to give for every point what are the examples I have seen in my projects. Okay, so our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of the valuable software. So let me give you a few examples. Few years ago, one of the project, like almost a decade ago, one of the project. So they followed waterfall model. It's a very long-term project. They did the project for 4 years, and end of the 4th year, it is going to be production in next 3 months. It is going to be UAT, customer environment, in next 3 months. So I have seen all of my team members working late nights, working over weekends, kind of thing. I was a new joinee to that project. Okay, I have asked my seniors in the team, so why you are taking so pressure? Why you are weekends also working, you are stretching late nights? They told us, Ramanam, you newly joined to this team, but this is a 4 years old project and it is very prestigious project to our client. And so first time this is going to live in 4 years. So if something goes wrong, we may, I mean, it may create a very tough scenario to our company and even to our career also, or even to kind of a job also. So I surprised, see why, the entire product is going to live at a single go. Then, so it is a high risk to testing team. At that time, 10 years ago, I was a testing team member in that team. So it's a high risk to QA team. Okay, so because they are testing everything at a single go. So the point is, the main problem here is, instead of taking this entire project, so going in a one go to client, why we have not break down into iterations? First iteration, develop, test, deliver to customer, get the feedback, adopt the feedback in next iteration. Why we have not done that? So remember, see, customer feedback, early and continuous customer feedback is important. In waterfall model, we too receive customer feedback based on the documentation. BRD, customer reviewed and approved. HLD, customer reviewed and approved. LLD, customer reviewed and approved. Source code, customer reviewed and approved. Test plans, customer reviewed and approved. But finally, product may fail. We may get so many production defects. So, I mean, in Agile also, we get production defects. But in Agile, you can adopt that production defect as a new requirement in the next iteration. So, Agile highest priority is customer satisfaction. How Agile ensures that customer satisfaction? By delivering early and continuous delivery of valuable software. Every iteration outcome is a working software in Agile, and every iteration is a short time frame. In every iteration, and remember, yesterday also I told, again I'm repeating, iteration 1 UI, iteration 2 database, iteration 3 application logic, iteration 4 integration. No, this is not Agile. Every iteration outcome must be working software which generates business value to customer. Every iteration outcome must be working software which generates business value to customer. So iteration outcome must be working software which generates value to customer. If you are developing, I mean, iteration 1, Ramana, we are developing a UI is ready, but UI will not create a value to customer. So it is a ready software, 100% done software. When I say 100%, not the entire project. Only you select some requirements and you develop, test, deploy, give it to customer. So in our highest priority is customer satisfaction through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. So hope this point is clear to you. Our highest priority, so Agile highest priority is customer satisfaction. How Agile ensures that? Early and continuous delivery of valuable software. You break down the project into iterations or releases or sprints, whatever you want. Every sprint or release or iteration outcome is a 100% working valuable software. I have seen few people mindset. Iteration 1, you do development. Iteration 2, you do testing. Iteration 3, you do deploy. Then it is not. So every iteration outcome is a valuable software. What do you mean by valuable software? Which is 100% tested. So in every iteration, you select some requirements for that iteration or user stories for that iteration, and that must be 100% tested. So our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. So please don't follow two different styles. So don't follow two different styles. Okay, style 1, first iteration UI, second iteration database, no. Style 2, first iteration development, second iteration will do testing, no. Select the requirements and plan it, develop, test, deploy, which is 100% tested for that iteration, give it to customer. Customer can directly use it in the production. So such kind of method you should have. So our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of the valuable software. So early and continuous delivery of the valuable software is very important. So this point, continuous delivery of valuable software point leads to automation, innovation, your DevOps practices. All these things are like, Agile accelerated continuous delivery practices. Agile accelerated automation practices. Okay, I'll talk about those points in coming principles. So hope everyone is clear with the first principle. So what is Agile? Agile highest priority is satisfy the customer. How Agile satisfy the customer? Through early and continuous delivery of the valuable software. So please let me know if you want any more discussion on the first point. Hope it is clear. Can I move on to second point? You can acknowledge me through chat option. Thank you. Thanks, Sushma, for your acknowledgement. Okay, so then welcome. So second point, welcome changing requirements. Welcome changing requirements. So welcome changing requirements even late in development. Welcome changing requirements even late in development. Agile process harness changes for the customer's competitive advantage. Welcome changing requirements even late in development. Agile processes harness change for customers' competitive advantage. So what do you mean by welcome changing requirements? Welcome changing requirements. So welcome changing requirements means so principle 2. So principle 1, customer satisfaction through early and continuous delivery of working software. Through early and continuous delivery of valuable working software. So please ignore my spelling mistakes. Principle 2. So principle 2. Welcome changing requirements even late in development. I'll try to give you here why. What is the advantage of client to this? What is the advantage of client to this? Welcome changing requirements even late in development. So what is the advantage of it? Welcome changing requirements even late in development. What is the advantage of it? So advantage is it helps getting advantage of customer. So this is for customers competitive advantage. So customers competitive advantage. See, I remember in my Agile projects experiences, I wanted to tell you a few scenarios here. So scenario 1. Okay, lot of so we started one project. It was an insurance project to US client. So initially, my one of my manager called us and they told Ramana, we are getting one project actually. So 80 to 85% requirements only ready. Remaining requirements. So just January 1st, my manager called me, January 1st, some year. And he told Ramana, till March 30, 10 to 15% requirement changes we're expecting. March 30 is the requirement freeze date. March 30 is the requirement freeze date. That's what he told. March 30 requirement freeze date. March 30 is the requirement freeze date. So when I say March 30 is the requirement freeze date, okay, he told so client allow BA or your client to change requirements till March 30 as per the agreement. Till March 30, 10 to 15% of client can give new requirements, because at this point of time only 80 to 85% of requirements are ready, and so that's why you start, meanwhile, to save time, you start working on this 80 to 85% of the requirements. This is what my manager told us. So we started working on this project. Okay, they have given us a kind of a requirement document, initial requirement document. Okay, every day they use it to revise this document. So my team started working. So they are creating some kind of technical specs, my dev team, and QA team creating some few test cases. Every day they are giving requirement changes every day. So when they are giving requirement changes every day, what used to happen? So it is leading us to a lot of rework, but we accepted till March 30. See, changes means like initially they tell we have 15 functionalities and 20 screens. Then later they change UI, few fields they merge into other screen, few fields they remove. Why they are doing even they have not provided the basic explanation also. They used to change the fields like that. Suddenly we see new fields in the existing screens, kind of thing. It's a web application basically in Java. Web application project, back technology, J2E technology kind of. So we accepted. So even though it's a rework, as agreed, we accepted. But post March 30, also they're continuously. So till almost August, we observed requirements has not stabilized. They're changing the requirements. They're changing the requirements. Okay, in waterfall model, you have a process called change notice, or you call it as RCN, requirement change notice. RCN, requirement change notice. So we call it as RCN, or in few projects they call it as a CR, change request. So what they are telling simply, okay, yes, we are changing the requirements for our business purpose. Okay, so you accept it, you take it as a CR. So for CR, so we pay extra money and extra time. It's okay. But suddenly, so here the point is, by August, we already created design actually. High level design is ready. Now, every CR which they are giving, when we are doing impact analysis, if it is a design level change, it is very difficult to do. If it is a design level change, it is very difficult to do, because by considering all 100% of the requirements or 85% of the requirements, the entire design we created. So now any change which accommodates with the design, easy to implement. But if it's a design level modification, it is very high cost. So here, coming to the technical side, our delivery team point of view, problems we are facing, lot of rework. We may not deliver project on time. So design level changes may create more errors. Frequent design level changes may create more errors, which leads to quality issues. So design level changes may create more errors, which leads to quality issues. Like that, we started these are the delivery team challenges. Coming to business team challenges. Okay, so due to business competition, business competition. So client is changing the requirement due to business competition. So client is changing requirements. It's a new kind of project. It's a new kind of project in insurance. So forecasting requirements or predicting the requirements. Predicting requirements is also not easy. Like that, they have their own problems. So then we had several discussions, guys. We had several discussions with the client. Okay, so what we understand, client is not clear with the application, project, domain, business, all these things. There's something they're trying to build a new application, and so they are not able to freeze the requirements. Then what we proposed at that time, so I mean, even we had a discussion, still I remember, with one of my senior management, and so I questioned them, like, why you are giving such kind of projects? The requirements are not stable, not clear. Okay, they are frequently changing. Why we took this project? We are kind of a worry now. So because we are doing the work, but everyday rework and quality issues, kind of. Then he laughed and he at the time, like, my experience was little low 10 years ago, like below 5 years experience guy at that time. So then he laughed and he replied me, Ramana, tell me one project across the our company. We are doing like thousands of projects. Tell me one project where we have 100% perfect requirements. He told, you cannot see such kind of project. That's why clients are paying us money. So expecting 100% stable requirement project, like, it is an ideal scenario you never see in your life. So don't expect that. So why we are getting more money from client? Because client is not clear with requirements. This is what the reply I got. Anyway, so why I told this entire story, customers are looking for a software development cycle which adopts requirements rather than showing more resistance. So in agile projects, you are delivering iteration by iteration. So in first iteration, you are working maybe less than 10% of the requirements. You are working maybe less than 10% of the requirements. In first iteration, maybe you are working less than 10% of the requirements. Okay, so in iteration 2, so whenever you are first iteration, so already, let's say now client comes and says, okay, I have a change. If client says I have a change, okay, so already 90% things are ready, not sorted yet. Yes, we are going to accept the change. So agile methods shows less resistance when compared to requirement changes when compared to traditional software development. Okay, so agile methods more flexible to changes. Agile methods are more flexible to changes. See, in agile, no need to define requirements upfront. So especially these points, clients realized during the during 2008 global credit crisis happened, recession. Okay, so they have given a lot of, earlier 5 years contract, 7 years project kind of thing. Now, so clients started iterative model, agile model. So client requirements may change dynamically throughout the project. So no need to define requirements. So agile methods are more flexible when compared to traditional methods to do requirement changes. So we have a question from Suchindra. What are the agile methods like Scrum, XP, extreme programming, all this? So projects which are following Agile Manifesto, Suchindra, especially Scrum projects, extreme programming projects, these follow Agile Manifesto or Agile principles. Any project which follow Agile methodology principles. Example, Scrum follows Agile principles. Extreme programming follows Agile principles. So these projects, follow Agile methodology principles. Those also called as Agile methods or Agile practices, Agile frameworks. All has same meaning. So generally I used as a Agile method instead of Agile methodology project, Agile method project I have used. So hope you are clear with the second point now. So what is the benefit to the client? So so first point says first principle says customer satisfaction. Second principle says so for customers competitive advantage, Agile methods are flexible in changing the requirements. So can I move on to principle number 3? Need your acknowledgement. Okay. So if you're not clear, please let me know. You can interact with me through chat option. You can raise a question to me. Right. So third one, principle number 3. So principle number 3, deliver working software frequently from a couple of weeks to couple of months with a preference to shorter time scale. With a preference to shorter time scale. Okay. Why we have to do like this? Why we have to deliver working software frequently with a preference to shorter time scale? See, during 1990s, I think I forget exactly, either US Army or US military has given a project to one of the software company to build a software for US military. They took almost 9 years and they spent some like 900, very big amount of money. So some millions of dollars of amount they spent, and finally, so when they inspected the software, and final outcome, military rejected. So what happened here? So the team, so the client is waiting for a long time, almost 7 to 9 years. And the IT company also followed best processes, best practices, best policies kind of thing. But final outcome rejected by the business. So we hear time loss. So don't wait till end of the project to deliver your working software. So change your mindset. So instead of building the entire product as a single go, break down into iterations, and every iteration preference is given must be to shorter time scale. Every iteration preference must be given to shorter time scale. So deliver working software frequently from a couple of weeks to a couple of months with a preference to shorter time scale. So in Agile projects, okay, iteration can be 1 week iteration. So iteration time frame can be 1 month or 2 weeks. So maximum iteration time, one iteration you can plan up to 2 months. See, if for example, if you say here I wanted to tell one point. So as I told, when I was working in one of the Agile capability team member in my previous organization, so my job is audit the one of the project, how they are following Agile. Based on that, we have a Agile assessment checklist kind of thing. So based on that Agile assessment checklist, I have to validate and I have to give the score so that we propose the process improvements. That was my job. Okay, then I started auditing. I visited one project. They gave us the demo, project manager and all those people gave us the demo. So I have asked them one question. Question is, tell me how frequently you are deploying new version to production. How frequently you are deploying new version to production. Show me last few deployment dates. This was my question to the project. Okay, now they started telling, okay, so we are following Agile methodology, Scrum framework, we have user stories, we have product backlog, we have daily Scrum meeting, we have the sprint, every sprint is 2 weeks, and every sprint we give like like that daily Scrum meeting, we have retrospective meetings, like we frequently develop the working software, all these things are telling. Excellent. My question is very simple. You are following daily Scrum meetings, review meetings, retrospective meetings, sprint planning meetings, user stories, product backlog, product owner, Scrum Master, all are excellent. Tell me simple question. Show me when you deployed your working software to production. I wanted to see last 3-4 dates. Then they started telling, actually we are internally following Agile. But client is allowing us to deploy yearly twice. That means every 6 months once. Every 6 months kind of. Internally we are following Agile, but client is allowing us to deploy every 6 months once kind of. So internally we are following Agile, but client is allowing us to deploy every 6 months once. Why? They said it's a client rule. So here the point is, client is not inspecting the working software. Client is not inspecting working software frequently. Client is not giving feedback frequently. It is very this is very serious point, because in Agile generally what we do, let's say we started the project January 1st, 2020. I'll tell you one scenario. You will understand many points here. So January 1st to 15, cycle 1 or iteration 1. So here we developed working software or increment. We call it as increment. Increment is nothing but working software. We built it with few features. Okay, so we have given demo to customer, users, stakeholders, product owner, whoever it is. Then January 16 to January 30, iteration 2. So then we built increment. So then so we give demo to iteration, users and stakeholders. Then February 1st to February 15th, iteration 3. Let's, by example, 2 weeks one iteration. In this example, 2 weeks one iteration. Okay. Like this, we have several iterations. For example, we have some February 1st. It is better to write. February 16th to 28th, we have iteration 4. Okay. Now the point is, let's say, imagine a scenario: customers, users, stakeholders, or product owner. These people are so busy. They are not attending your review meetings. They are not attending demo meetings. They are not inspecting the working software. End of every iteration. And after 3-4 months, they realized and they inspected. After 3 months, after 6 iterations, till last 3 months they are so busy, they are not attending your review meetings. After 3 months or 6 iterations, they inspected working software. So they inspected working software. After 6 months, they inspected the working software. Okay, now they they said we are not happy. Then it is waterfall model. You built it, but what is the use if client is not inspecting it? So in Agile, key point is every iteration outcome must be delivered to customer. Customer starts using it. At least they take a demo. They give us the feedback. So if now what happened? You have internally done every iteration 15 days, but client has taken demo after 3 months. That means your iteration, logically your iteration cycle becomes 3 months once. So don't plan like long-term releases kind of thing in Agile project. Agile encourages to plan short-term releases. It could be 1 week to 2 months kind of thing, so that it is easy for planning also. So if you plan again 3 months one release, so some of the waterfall characteristics applies here. So hope you understand every iteration outcome. So deliver working software frequently from a couple of weeks to couple of months. To deliver working software frequently from a couple of weeks to couple of months with a preference to shorter time scale. So we have a very good question from Anand. Can iteration timeline differ? For example, iteration 1 to 8 days, iteration 2 to 4 days, iteration 2 4 days, iteration 3 9 days. Anand, very good question. I appreciate you. Okay. So answer to this question, that depends upon which Agile practice you are following. For example, if you are following a Scrum practice, Scrum generally encourages same sprint length or same iteration length to maintain the rhythm. So you can change, logically you can change, but we encourage maintain the same iteration length so that rhythm of the team will not be affected. That is answer first if you're following Scrum. So Scrum I will introduce tomorrow on. If you're following extreme programming, XP, then so the every sprint rhythm can be adjustable. First sprint maybe 3 days, second sprint 5 days, based on the developer's decision. So Anand, your answer to your question, that depends upon the which Agile practice you are following. If it is Scrum, yes, Scrum also sprint length is modifiable, different length is allowed, but we ensure we are managing the same sprint length or iteration length to maintain the rhythm of the team. But there are some practices like extreme programming. Yes, so every iteration length may change. So what is fourth principle? Here we try to understand principle number 4. So business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. Business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. This is the principle number 4. So business people means here client stakeholders. This is the point actually I explained now. So business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. So what do you mean by this? Right. So business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. So what do you mean by this? Let's say earlier, if you remember, if you are working in a traditional, if you have any prior experience of working in any waterfall projects, business people like business analyst from the client side or users. So if you try to interact with them, most of the times I observed they used to tell we are busy, or they have a client kind of a ego will be there. They used to think, "Oh, please wait. So send your queries in a form of an email or upload in the query tracker. We are busy. Our users are busy. Our BA team is busy. They're working on different projects. So so kind of answers we used to get. The problem here is, see, if you have high collaboration with the business people, then only these interactions will be like, see, for example, what I have to work on next iteration, what may be the next iteration highest priority to customer. So if we are having continuous business collaboration, then only so you can deliver more effective working software to customer. So I wanted to give you a few examples for this point. So business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. Okay. So in this, as per this principle, here agile projects are giving opportunity. Scenario one. So every new iteration planning, business team will involve to decide in which order they want. To decide in which order they want. So to decide in which order they want. So to decide in which order they are expecting. So to decide in which order they want. So to decide in which order, every new iteration planning, business team will involve to decide in which order they want. Scenario one. So they give the business team, business team gives priorities, ordering. See this priorities and ordering is not priorities and ordering. This is not required in waterfall project because entire product you are delivering as a single go. But here you are delivering is iteration wise. So first iteration what to do, second iteration what to do, what is their more important priority. So business team must collaborate with us to deciding what next, because it is business team responsibility. To ensure work of development team maximizes business value. So they have to properly order the items they discuss with us. Okay, so for example, so especially what kind of performance is required, security is required, or usability is required, non-functional requirements we say, are understanding the dependencies, they need Scrum development help also. Just a business team cannot decide non-functional requirements or dependencies, technical dependencies. So scenario one. So scenario two, in agile projects we give very lean documentation, simple documentation. So in agile projects requirements are not that detailed, so it encourages us. So in agile projects we maintain simple requirements, very lean in documentation, and encourages more conversations with business team. So every day, so we need interaction with business team and what is that requirement, because unlike waterfall model, in your waterfall model you have very detailed requirements, and all the requirements are defined upfront in very detailed requirements you get. But Agile encourages more collaboration, conversation on the requirement rather than defining everything in the requirement. So providing too many details in the requirement is not good. As per Agile, it says you have a conversation with business, what is in their mind, what they're expecting with us. So understand their expectation in the form of conversation and with the collaboration with the business team. So daily we interact with the business team. That's why, so generally based on the which agile practice you are following, so teams business teams have a representative guy kind of thing. Product owner. So product owner is a business representative for the time being. So tomorrow I'll be explaining you. So product owner responsibilities in the next session. That is tomorrow's session. Okay. So scenario 3, let's say you have built the working software. So end of every iteration, business inspection. So business feedback based on business feedback, we plan the next iteration. So based on the business feedback, we plan next iteration. So based on the business feedback, we plan the next iteration. So end of every business inspection, business feedback is important. Based on the business feedback, we plan the next iteration or we plan the future iterations. So these are the various opportunities. Like, if remember, if your client is so rigid, if your business team is not that collaborative, then your agile project may fail. So what kind of interviewer may ask a question? What kind of projects agile is not suitable? So what kind of projects agile is not suitable? If you have such kind of a scenario, what kind of projects agile is not suitable? So number one, what kind of projects agile is not suitable? Number one, if your business team is rigid, not collaborative. Business team is rigid, not collaborative. So such kind of projects may fail in agile. It is not encourageable to deliver it in the agile projects. So what kind of projects may not be suitable for agile? The business team is rigid, not collaborative. So such kind of projects may not be suitable for delivering it in agile. So may not be suitable for delivering it in agile. Okay, so hope it is clear. So first four principles. First principle is continuous delivery of working software. Second principle, welcome changing requirements even late in development. Deliver working software frequently, and business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. Is it clear? First four principles. So can I move on to principle number 5? So see, these principles understanding is really important, guys. Based on this only, like your next discussion, Scrum you will understand, because Scrum is an agile practice. Okay. So principle number 5, build projects around motivated individuals. Build projects around motivated individuals. Give them the environment and to get the job done. So build projects around motivated individuals, give them the environment and support they need, and trust them to get the job done. So this nature, so build projects around motivated individuals, give them the environment and support they need, trust them to get the job done. One more principle also very similar to this one. Best architectures, requirements, and design emerge from self-organizing teams. If you look at these 2 points, these two. Build projects around motivated individuals, give them the environment and support they need, and trust them to get the job done. The best architectures, requirements, and design emerge from self-organizing teams. Best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from self-organizing teams. Emerge from self-organizing teams. Best architectures, requirements, design emerge from self-organizing teams. So here you need to understand a word called self-organizing. So what do you mean by self-organizing? So self-organizing, okay, generally, the teams must involve from, so they must be involved in iteration planning. They must be involved in iteration estimation. So they must be involved in iteration planning. They must be involved in iteration estimation. They must create their own iteration plan, detailed plan, how to implement work in iteration. They have to create how to implement work in iteration. They have to create how to implement work in iteration. How to implement work in iteration. They have to create. So they must involve in iteration planning, estimation, how to implement work in iteration, they have to create. How to implement work in iteration, they have to create. Okay, so these all are like, earlier, if you are working in a waterfall kind of projects, so there are some practices like daily work allocation by team lead. Daily status mail to team lead. Management decides what we have to do, how we have to do, when, what, and how. See, these all are against to anti-pattern to self-organizing. So these are not self-organizing. So what Agile encourages? So Agile encourages self-organizing teams. Agile encourages self-organizing teams. So self-organizing teams play key role. Self-organizing teams play key role. So self-organizing teams. Let me show you the exact definition. Exact definition of what is self-organizing. Self-organizing teams self-organizing teams choose how best to accomplish their work rather than being directed by others outside the team. How best to, let me save this file. Agile Foundation, October 15. So self-organizing teams choose how best to accomplish their work rather than being directed by others outside the team. Self-organizing teams choose how best to accomplish their work rather than being directed by others outside the team. So we encourage Scrum team from planning to deployment. They decide what to do, how to achieve the sprint goal or iteration goal. How to achieve the iteration goal. So how to achieve the iteration goal, they decide. Okay. So they decide how to achieve the iteration goal. How to achieve the iteration goal. Self-organizing teams decide how to plan their work and how to estimate their work, how to develop or test or give solution, and how to achieve the target. So encourage self-organizing nature. See, there are some agile anti-patterns. Agile anti-patterns, like agile anti-pattern is Scrum Master is assigning work. No, no. This is Agile anti-pattern. And Agile anti-pattern too. So tomorrow I introduce who is Scrum Master, what are the Scrum Master responsibilities. So Agile anti-pattern too. So management decides what to do, how management decides or leads decides how to do. So these all are Agile anti-patterns. Encourage self-organizing teams, give them the environment, support they need, trust them. So they may fail in first iteration. So they may fail in iteration 1, and they try to improve in future iterations. They may improve in iteration 2. So they may improve in iteration 3. So Agile encourages fail fast culture. So they may fail in estimation iteration 1, because understand they're not estimating entire project. Just they are estimating their own work in for their own simple iteration, a short time frame. So encourage self-organizing work nature. So self-organizing teams choose how best to accomplish their work rather than being directed by others outside the team. Okay, so this is about self-organizing principle. Best architectures, requirements, and design emerge from self-organizing teams. Okay, so the same point here, build the projects around motivated individuals, give them the environment and support they need, and trust them to get the job done. Okay, so hope this point is clear. Self-organizing. Agile encourages self-organizing teams. Any confusion? Okay, so let's move on to next principle. Let's move on to next principle. The most efficient and effective method of conveying information to and within a development team is face-to-face conversation. the most effective and efficient and effective method of conveying information to and within a development team is face-to-face conversation. The most efficient and effective method of conveying information to and within a development team is face-to-face conversation. Face-to-face conversation. The most efficient and effective method of conveying information is to and within a development team is face-to-face conversation. Okay, so as we discussed, it encourages more conversations, discussions. So rather than too many details in documentation or following too many layers of approval system, too many layers of approval, review or approval system. So too many layers of review or approval system. So conversations or discussions rather than too many details in documentation or too many layers of review or approval system. Conversations or discussions rather than too many details in documentation or too many layers of review or approval system. So Agile encourages more discussions. That's why not only, see, if you want to implement Agile projects, so people so started earlier we have a layer wise, right? So UI team used to be in one UI team in one bay. So we call it as a bay or our workspace. Okay, database team in second floor, testing team in some other place, kind of thing. But now, so if the team is divided as a, so Agile recognizes no sub teams kind of thing. So don't go by this team kind of culture. So Agile table, try to have more face-to-face conversations. If face-to-face conversations are not possible, at least video conferencing through Skype or webinars. So video conferencing, let us say, I'll show you a few images also. I'll show you. Yeah. So this kind of Agile tables, no more cubicles kind of thing. So people have to sit in Agile table. So they discuss. So this is the new workspaces. So Agile table. So 5 to 9 people are limited. One Agile team sit here, developer, tester, and they work. They interact with them. So because unnecessary documentation, I have seen developers and testers are writing 21 emails on one defect and no solution. Rather than directly go and talk to developer or go to talk to tester, go to admin guy and discuss with. Outcome you document it, but why the question and answers 21 emails conversation without solution? So this kind of work culture is very popular. So companies are moving towards this direction. So the workspaces also more face-to-face conversation. From now, what about distributed Agile? The teams are working from different locations. The teams are not in same location. Then so webcam, video conferencing, Skype, Zoom, GoToWebinar softwares you can use for better interaction. But Agile encourages more conversations rather than so Agile encourages more conversation. The most efficient, effective method of conveying information is face-to-face conversation. Face-to-face in the sense video conferencing also. Is this clear? So one of the key point of Agile. So most efficient and effective method of information is within the development team. Within the development team is face-to-face conversation. And working software is the primary measure of the progress in Agile projects. Working software is the primary measure of the progress in Agile projects. Working software is the primary measure of the progress in Agile projects. Working software is the primary measure of the progress in Agile projects. So working software is primary measure of the progress in Agile projects. So working software is the primary measure of the progress in Agile projects. So what do you mean by, what do you mean by this point? So every iteration outcome must be a working software. So if you are validating the progress of the team, not based on in waterfall projects, so percentage of percentage of BRD completed, so percentage of design completed, percentage of test cases completed. So these are kind of a metrics. But here, so in Agile, how you measure the progress? So based on the working software which we have already built. So working software which we have already built. So percentage of the working software which we have already built, based on that we measure progress of the working software. Based on that we measure progress of the working software. So working software which we have already built, that is one of the key measurement. That is one of the key measurement in Agile projects. And so Agile process promote sustainable development. Sponsors, developers, and users should be able to maintain constant pace indefinitely. So that's why business collaboration is required. So if you read this, Agile processes promote sustainable development. Sponsors, developers, and users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely. So Agile processes promote sustainable development. Sponsors, developers, users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely. Constant pace indefinitely. Okay. So business collaboration, high-end business collaboration is important. So if you are planning iteration, if you are progressing with iteration, if you are delivering the working software, okay. So if you are working software, okay. So Agile processes promote sustainable development. Sponsors, developers, and users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely. Okay, so every iteration, so what is happening, what we have to plan next, where we are. Okay, even I can tell example. So once you built and you are giving the iteration demo, like users can tell where they are, like what are their experiences with the software which already built. Also, what is the experience with the software which already built is also they can discuss. So Agile processes promote sponsors, means business team, like your stakeholders and all, developers and users should be able to maintain constant pace. So everyone collaborates in the end of the iteration and we plan the next iteration. And one more point, continuous attention to technical excellence. So one more Agile principle is continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhances agility. Continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhances agility. Continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhances agility. So what do you mean by this? Okay, here, see, understand earlier, okay, we used to have, if you take waterfall model project, so end of the project we used to do testing. Here, every iteration we are doing testing. So every iteration we have to test new features given to that iteration, and every iteration we have to test new features given to that iteration, and we have to ensure previous iteration working features has not been broken. Previous iteration working features have not been broken. For that, every new iteration, we have to do regression testing. Every new iteration, we have to do regression testing. Every new iteration, we have to do regression testing. So every new iteration, we have to do regression testing. So if you are doing every new iteration regression testing, so every new iteration, every new iteration, we have to do regression testing. So to do regression testing, every new iteration, so manual regression testing may not work out. So doing manual regression testing, every iteration may consume a lot of time. Just I'm giving one example. So that's why like so we focus on technical excellence. So in testing or development or deployment, so what we can automate, where we can automate. So this kind of technical excellence is important. So we need to continuously focus on automation of code integration, automation of deployments, so automation of code integration, automation of deployments, and so automation of testing. So not only automation, you can come up with some more innovation practices like pair programming. Okay, so best design. So every sprint, like or every iteration, we can retrospect ourselves and we plan what next, what to improve in terms of architecture, in terms of innovation, in terms of automation. So continuous attention to technical excellence saves a lot of time, and it enhances agility. So continuous attention to technical excellence enhances agility. So that's why if you're working in an agile team member, so they're expecting more automation practices. If you're working in an agile team member, they're expecting more automation practices from agile team members. So, and you see, DevOps, continuous integration, or continuous deployment. So, these kind of practices, not only in agile projects, you can use in traditional projects also. But so, agile projects are the strong candidates. So, agile projects are the strong candidates for those kind of practices. Agile projects are the strong candidates for those kind of practices. Okay, so this is one point. Let us do one thing. So from last 1 hour 15 minutes, we are discussing the principles. So we'll complete this extra 2 principles also. So then Agile Manifesto will complete. So tomorrow we'll start Scrum framework from scratch. So simplicity, the art of maximizing the amount of work not done is essential. When I say simplicity, as we discussed, less documentation, more conversations, less process. If you remember earlier, defect life cycle, new process, in progress, huge defect life cycle used to maintain, because at that time you have a bug triage practices in waterfall model or defect life cycle, or not only testing anything like you have to review by X person, peer review, formal review, this kind of lot of procedures we used to follow in waterfall model, because in waterfall model we are trying to deliver entire project as a single go. So we are testing all the projects, all the test cases at single go. So development documents also, huge review processes used to be there. But here the focus is on working software. So the focus is on customer feedback. So like here, so maintain simplicity. So less documentation, less procedures, and focus more on developing something and give it to customer and get the feedback, then adopt your next iteration. So that's why agile projects are simple in documentation, simple in process, and it focuses more collaborate, conversation, and deliver. Get the feedback. That is the more important point, simplicity. And the next point already we discussed, best architectures, requirements, and design emerge from self-organizing teams. And the last point, at regular intervals, the team reflects on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjusts its behavior accordingly. See, every iteration, so once iteration is over, once we get the feedback from the customer, based on the business feedback, we will be having our internal meeting. So we call, if you follow your agile practice as a Scrum framework, we call it as a retrospective meeting. So the purpose of the retrospective meeting is, I'll elaborately explain tomorrow, day after tomorrow session. But the purpose of the retrospective meeting is we have to inspect our own process. We have to inspect our own, what went well in the last iteration, what went wrong in the last iteration. So continuous improvement is important in agile project. So at regular intervals of time, we have to inspect our own processes, our own what could be done. So example, so the team failed in estimation. Why team is failed in estimation? Some agile coaching may be required. The team failed in writing the perfect user stories. So why team failed in writing the user stories? The team failed in some kind of delivering the task. Why it is failed? The team failed in manual testing is taking too long time. So at regular intervals of time, team has to inspect our own process, and based on that we plan next improvements for the our own processes we are following. So try to implement DevOps or test automation or some any innovation kind of thing. So try to improve the processes. So Agile encourages at regular intervals of time. So how to become more effective? We have to retrospect our own team, our own process, our own people, our own artifacts or documents. So these are the few principles of Agile software. So if someone asks you, oh, can you explain what is Agile or kind of thing? At least a few things. Just to summarize the today's discussion. So Agile is about at least a few principles. Let's say if I face this question, Agile is about delivering continuous working software in short time frame, and continuous customer feedback to improve the process, to improve the project in next iterations. So continuous customer feedback, continuous delivering of the early and continuous customer feedback by delivering the continuous working software in short iterations or short time frame. And so it encourages more discussions or collaboration with the business team. Okay, so it is encourages self-organizing teams and at regular intervals of time. So we have to improve from our own processes. We have to regularly, regularly inspect our own processes. High business collaboration. These all are the principles of Agile Manifesto. So to summarize, in short, so if anyone asks you, can you explain what are the main pillars of the Agile project? What are the main pillars of the Agile project? Okay, so Agile encourages individuals and interactions over processes and tools. It is lean in documentation and more in conversation. And what Agile encourages, inspect your working software, deliver working software frequently over creating a comprehensive documentation. And so Agile is more of customer collaboration over contract negotiation. So you frequently interact with the customer, understand what they want next, understand their priorities, understand their business competition, understand the practical feedback they are giving after using of the previous iterations working software. And so in Agile project, responding to change. So responding to change like over following a plan. So it's a learning driven. It's a learning driven. So every new iteration. So we understand new feedback from the customer. Based on that, we adjust our next iterations accordingly. So these are the main points. And see, this is not Agile Manifesto discussion, end-to-end discussion. Tomorrow, day after tomorrow also, once I start Scrum framework, how Scrum following Agile, also I'm comparing that. So more examples also on these principles you will be getting in next 3 classes also. So yesterday first session, Agile introduction I have given. Today second session, and I have explained you Agile Manifesto. If you want a repetition kind of thing, so we'll be updating few Agile videos. So our organization is Quality Thought, and our YouTube channel is Learning Thoughts. So later you want to repeat your foundation classes. Okay, I'll be uploading the series of Agile playlist here. So Agile playlist here. So here you can go to Agile tutorials. So this is our yesterday's session. So yesterday's session. So I'll be uploading today's session also here. You can go through those videos later if you want to revise. And so this contains so multiple. You have all Python videos, few DevOps videos, Jira videos. You have the multiple playlists you can see. If you want to improve yourself in Jira, so not only Jira, so Jira, Linux, Python, so multiple videos you have. So you can go through those videos. These all are completely with real-time perspective only, not just for information kind of thing. In-depth videos we are providing here. Right. So thanks guys. So let's meet tomorrow 7:45. There is a change in the time. 7:45 to 8:45. I'll be interacting with you. Scrum framework, very important session. Tomorrow we'll be starting the Scrum framework session 1. Thank you. If you're not, so Ramana at the rate qualitythought.in, you can use it for doubts clarification also. If you want anything in Agile, please send an email to me. I'll definitely reply within 24 hours. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. For more videos, subscribe our channel and click on bell icon.